So today on The Drive this afternoon, we are looking at franchising and making sense of franchising on The Drive. Today, we're joined in the studio by Teboho Nthoana, who is a property investor, financial expert, and serial entrepreneur. So he described and gave an idea of what a franchise is. Now, let's talk about the mainstream of things, the big restaurants, the Wimpy's and the McDonald's and the Steers. Let's get into that world. If I want to own one of these, what am I looking at?
You need to have capital. Startup capital is very important to actually get into this business. I think that's just the disadvantage about franchising. It's not for everyone. The startup capital, it's a lot, and it's sometimes that the kind of money that people or an ordinary person on the street might not have. So I could say barrier to entry it's very high. So there's a big red tape there for everyone to actually get into the space. That's why there's only few that are money that would actually get in.
When we talk franchises, a lot of people automatically start thinking restaurants, fast food, but there's many other franchises out there that you can probably buy into with less capital.
True.
Is that the case? And is it a better option to go that route and stay away from food if it's not your forte?
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, people are thinking, food is only the only franchise. There's clothing stores that you could franchise. There's beauty spas that you could franchise. There's a lot of brands. There's petrol stations. There's actually almost every business. There's consulting firms as well. You know that you could actually franchise. And I think one thing that we need to make mention of as well. People can actually take their businesses and turn them into franchises themselves.
How?
So it's something that obviously you need to, I always say that it's important, research. And right now, obviously, there's what we call a brand manual. A brand manual, half of the time you'd find with these franchises, they're very particular in how you use their brand, where you put whatever and whatsoever. Then what we call an operations manual. In operations manual, there's, companies like Productivity SA that companies could actually go to, they'll do it for you for free. That they could actually put up your entire operations into a manual kind of thing, so that even when everyone comes into your business, they know exactly what they need to do, how they need to do it. This thing of like this one person does one, if they didn't come to work or they die, the business goes under. It's not right. It's because these businesses are not properly structured. That's why your ISO accreditations as well, they put those things into place so that your business is properly documented.
I just want to bring something in just to paint a picture. I mean, for example, in this article that speaks of all these well-known restaurants, it says, for example, with Wimpy, new franchisees will need to put down initial payments of 115,000 Rand to apply. Then there's the cost of kitting out the restaurant.
True.
There's the cost of all these other things, and then there's also an additional 2.5 million Rand that you would have to pay. What are these figures? What are these monies for, Tebo?
Remember, a franchise, like I said, it's a business. So it's more like, it has become more like a business model. So it's an additional way of making other revenue. Because right now, from these businesses, making use of your brand, what you've built over the years, you charge them for them to even have interest. To charge them for them to even call themselves by your name, and you charge them because obviously you've already put in the work. So all of these costs, it's actually the cost that you're paying them for them putting the work. And setting up costs, remember, it's not them that are setting up, it's you that is setting up, because you are part of the business. So it's you putting your skin in the game to say, right now, I'm willing to be putting up this. Then that's why you find some of these companies, they'll have specifications to say, our specification, our shop needs to be like this, it needs to sit like this from the pavement, or if it's a mall, that is said. Do you understand? Those are the specifications that are set by a particular brand, because you're buying part of them. And as well, in terms of revenue from those companies as well, they charge anything from 4% to 15% per profits or gross or whatsoever, from a revenue point of view, depending on what you make.
Teboho, I think it's so easy for us to naturally trust a franchise or want to go into franchising because, as you say, the reputation is there, the branding is there, the marketing's been done, and you're just buying into a bigger piece of, a business. But franchises also fail.
They do.
And off air, we were having a conversation about due diligence. What kind of research should I do on the holding company if I am interested in opening up a franchise?
Okay. Things like due diligence, Pearl, they're very important because this is something that we overlook. I'll make an example. There's companies that would come to us for us to do a due diligence for them, and others you would speak about them, and somebody would become offended that you charge them 20 grand for you to do a due diligence for them, for an example, but they would rather lose millions than pay 20 grand. I'd rather pay 20 grand to do a due diligence. A due diligence gives you a background information of this business. How long has it been in existence? Who are the directors? Does it even have money? Because some of these companies, they good on brand, they good on paper, they good on media, but they do not have money. So, and right now you want to find that some of these businesses, they actually survive by you. So that's why for them scaling up, they need as much investors as possible for them to take up whatever. You putting the effort in your own business, you making money. When you making money, they making money.
Sure, absolutely.
So yeah,
we joined in the studio by Teboho Nthoana, and we're talking franchising. You hopping into the space. Mabote_Tumi on Twitter says most franchising agreements require that one have a certain amount in unencumbered cash in order for the application to even be entertained. True. So how can one circumvent that if I don't have that kind of cash?
Okay, you see it's something that's why information is key. People have always asked to say why I love property. The reality is I wouldn't have had money to get into franchising myself if I didn't have property. Do you understand? So what I could use is what we call leveraging. I used assets that I have from a value point of view. Let's say a particular brand would say our income budget is about 3 million. So I've got assets that are way more than 3 million. I'd put up assets that are worth 3 million to say this is an asset. You want 3 million? I put up an asset for 5 million perhaps. So for me to actually be part of the discussion, and that listener is telling the truth. They won't even respond to your email until you show them how much you have.
So show me the money or show me the assets, and then we can talk. And I suppose it's a way of them protecting their own interests and making sure that not every Tom, Dick and Jabu, Mutusi, whatever can just jump in.
No, definitely. It's true. And people, they think when we're speaking about assets, when we're speaking about town, the reality is, interesting enough, Moflava, I actually use township properties to say, I've got assets, and there are assets, you like it or not.
At the end of the day.
And there are appreciation assets. People, because right now they read about this, they hear this, people want to, complicate this, guys. This thing is so simple. It just requires it. And if ever right now I'm unable to, I could be sitting with a property of 500,000. Owen would be sitting with a property of 800, Pearl with 1.2. You would be sitting already between the four of us. We could be sitting with an incumbent of 2 million worth of assets. Why can't we combine it together in terms of from an asset point of view and actually buy into this business?
Absolutely, Teboho. There's so much that we can talk about in as far as franchising is concerned, let alone property and all of that. And listen, we'll have to make more time for this. But I think for now, we have certainly gotten some people thinking about the space, and we appreciate your time. I mean, you yourself dabble in that space. There's fuel stations, there's restaurants. I mean, where
do we get hold of you if you want to touch base with you?
Okay, it's at tebohoma40.co.za. Everything is Teboho Nthoana, social media, even my website, tebohoma40.co.za.
Fantastic stuff. What a guy. His name is Teboho Nthoana. Remember the name, know the name, and you can find him on social media. He's very active and engage him there further. It is 5:30, time for the headlines and sport with Pearl Shongwe and Owen Honey.